bilang isang UP student, I agree because we have to accept the fact that we are in a third world country and there is this a bit of collaboration between the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors.
Tingin ko, oo. Kasi, lalo na ngayon, hindi naman lahat ng tao sa Pilipinas mayaman. So, hindi lahat ng tao sa Pilipinas kayang bilhin yung mahal na gamot na linagay ng doktor sa reseta. Pero, ang pwede sigurong gawin ng doktor, maglagay siya ng generic na drug, tapos ilagay niya yung mahal na brand.
Like, ako may anak ako, mas gugustuhin ko yung generic na lang kasi, like, dati, nalaman ko na yung gamot na binigay sa anak ko sobrang mahal. Meron palang generic. Parang na-disappoint ako kasi, syempre, mahirap naman yung pera, hindi naman lahat mayaman. Kaya, mas okay na generic na lang.
Okay, welcome back to Talk Back. We're still talking about bringing down the cost of medicines through the Cheaper Medicines Bill. With us now, Senator Pia Cayetano, co-author of the Cheaper Medicines Bill at the Senate. Iloilo Representative Janet Garin, co-author of the Cheaper Medicines Bill at the House of Representatives. Health Undersecretary Alex Padilla and Dr. Jose Sabili, President of the Philippine Medical Association. Okay, this is going for a BICAM, and you're going to be faced with all of these possible walkout threats from the doctors and then the sympathetic moves as well of the hospitals. Just how are you looking at it, and what do you think can be done to resolve whatever issues are bugging both versions?
Well, first let me give a little background. First of all, the provisions that we're discussing right now, particularly the provision on the deletion of taking away the right of the doctor to indicate the brand name, is not in the Senate version. So this is fairly new to us in the sense that when we had our deliberations as early as the 13th Congress, we basically focused on the intellectual property issues. So having said that, it is my job as a chairman of health to really now open the floor to discussions. And I'm happy that there's a forum like this because I don't know if the House has had lengthy discussions on this issue, but I have to say that in the Senate we did not, because precisely we were focused on intellectual property. Not to say that it cannot be done in BICAM, we do, but I am now in the process over the holidays talking to doctors, consulting with them, despite being on break, because all of a sudden, it's something that we have to decide. Second, on your other issue on the walkout, well, I have to say that I have also spoken to a lot of professionals, and they do not support the walkout. No, I am not a doctor, so I will not judge their profession, but other doctors are saying that it is their obligation to their patients to provide the services, and they are not supporting the walkout. And I think that is the noble thing to do, because we legislators are here, and at least on the part, I can only speak on the part of the Senate, my committee is always open to hearing and to receiving their positions on this. And I don't think a threat of a walkout is acceptable.
And is there something bothers me? Why did that generics only provision was not included at all in the Senate version? Because there was never any discussion at all?
No. Our bill on cheaper medicines is primarily heard by the Committee on Trade, which is chaired by Senator Rojas, and I co-chair as the Committee on Health. And so even in the 13th Congress, which we passed our version and the House did not, it was focused on intellectual property issues. So it's just a choice, precisely why we have BICAM, because it is not uncommon that that one House will have provision that another House does not.
So you don't have the IPR as well?
We do have
in
it.
the
They
House
have
version?
that, but they
The
have...
Drugs Regulatory Board.
It is in that.
You also have that.
We actually
we don't
four.
have either. We don't have either. And that was actually seriously discussed, because that is, again, more of a trade issue. And we had made the committee really decided not to include it. But on the other issues, unofficially, our decision was let's have more, because we remember, since this was not passed in the 13th Congress, every day that this is delayed, access to cheaper medicine is denied to the average Filipino. So our objective was, let's get this passed, focus on intellectual property. Then let's go to the second and third phase, amendment of the generics law, amendment of the pharmaceutical law. That was our objective. And since hindi pumasa sa House, then we started all over again, and we passed it in one hearing, because we told the floor, we've gone through this. If you have any other comments, let's do it now. But they supported it. So we're now gonna go. I'm happy to go into phase 2, which is discussions on these new provisions. That would be my preferred choice of action, so that I can hear again all the. I mean, thankfully. Congresswoman Garin is a doctor, so she's had these personal experiences, no? So I would also like to have the benefit of hearing these stories.
Dr. Sabili, the anecdotes or even real situations cited by Congresswoman Garin here, was that not at all considered when the Philippine Medical Association was looking at this bill?
Actually, I was informed by the former presidents of the PMA that there was a case filed by the PMA at the Supreme Court.
Or even just the sentiment or the pulse of the people who were already bringing these issues before the DOH or even before Congress. You at all did not hear these kinds of comments from the public, from the patients?
I haven't heard any complaint with regards to the no substitution thing. I must admit that.
So that was not at all in your consideration of how you were supposed to deal with this cheaper medicines bill. The issues raised by Congresswoman Garin.
We didn't talk about it because there were no issues regarding that in our meetings, in our deliberation, when we were deliberating on the cheaper medicine bill in the lower house.
So you did not see any kind of complaint coming from your own patients, of doctors, that one, they were uneasy with the no substitution provision that was included
There was
in
none,
the prescription? There was no feedback whatsoever.
Yes, in fact, if I remember correctly, in one of the investigations in Congress, there were representatives from big drugstores. And
Drugstores?
And they were asked whether or not if a doctor prescribes a particular branded medicine, would they be offering the alternatives, generic alternatives, as prescribed by the generics law? And they said no. As a matter of policy, as a matter of rule, they only give out what is prescribed by the doctors. And if it's branded, it's only branded. They don't give any substitution or viable alternatives. No? So that, to us, was also a signal that the generics law was really not being fully implemented as it should have been. No? Remember, the generics law has been there for the past 20 years. And after 20 years of so-called generic prescribing, we still have the highest priced medicines.
Okay, so whose burden is it to educate the drugstore, the pharmacist, and the public? Is it the DOH job, the job of the doctors, or whose job?
Well, it's actually the job of everyone concerned, no? The DOH as well as the drugstores, because they're supposed to have an array of viable generic alternatives that they should be offering when the prescription prescribes for a branded medicine. No? It's also, of course, the job of the doctor, no? That in prescribing a generic medicine, it does not mean that we only want generics to the prejudice of branded, but it gives the patient more leeway or choice.
Is the patient in this case knowledgeable enough to be making a choice?
Well, I've actually, like I said, had unofficial consultations with very prominent and well-respected doctors in the academe. No? I'm a UP grad, so I talk to the UP doctors. And, they tell me, since a lot of the the PGH doctors work in PGH and then also have private practice, and they say that as a matter of practice, they will indicate their preferred choice given their experience with their drug, and then will also indicate if there's a cheaper version and tell their patient. No? So they feel that, at least the doctors I've spoken to, they're already giving them the choice. And I even wrote down these drugs. No? A particular drug, it's the same drug that my father took when he was sick. It's 120 pesos, that brand. It's off patent, so another brand is available at 70 pesos, which okay then, 45 pesos, which this doctor says, okay then, but he's mas secure siya dun sa isa. And then they're like, 10 others at 28 pesos. But he said, you know what? I don't know those brands. I have no confidence in them. I don't know that generic brand from Adam. So ako personally, I will recommend these two to my patient kasi I'm responsible for my patient. So I'm just saying the information naman that I received.
So the efficacy of a generic brand has not at all, does not have your confidence?
Well, if